Guys, welcome to another unboxing. Got a bunch of special stuff for you today. First and foremost, you will find out that emergencies can be colorful. I'll let you know why. We got a bunch of special APs, some market updates on Rolexes, lots of Pateks, and we have a time capsule from Oman that just came in. This is going to be uber special because this is by a famous and my favorite designer, yours truly, 𝗙𝗲𝗄𝗃. Stay tuned. Didn't we just talk about this earlier? There was a client here?
15, actually, yeah, it's true.
Question to you, 15-300, 400, or 500?
I think 39 is probably the sweet spot and the perfect size for an Audemars Piguet. That's why I like the jumbo model. That's why I like this model in particular. Now, I'll say this, the one thing I dislike, which is not huge, is the miscolored date, right? It doesn't match the blue dial, it's white. If I was to get a 15-300, I would get a white dial specifically for that reason.
Because the white matches
yep.
But the problem is that if you make this color wheel blue, what color you make in the date? White? I mean, it's, I don't know how legible that would be.
That's what they did for the 15-500s, they did it for the 15-400s.
Now, true or false, the 15-300s, you know, when we saw a correction in the price of all Rolex across the board, was the 15-300 the one model that took the least hit?
I mean, even in terms of production, at the time that they were making a 15-300, although the production span was much larger than a 15-500, I mean,
400 either.
Even the 400, right? I would even say there's probably less produced 15-300s than 500s, just because the production numbers were so wildly different.
5167R. I think we unboxed one yesterday, if I'm not mistaken.
And we just got two actually in today. So we got, this is the second one, but this one is brand new. This was a sold order for a client of mine. And yeah, I mean, what can I say?
They're still rocking and rolling. I said it yesterday, I'll say it again. I won't spend much time on it. And that is, I absolutely love the color combination of this whole thing. The brown dial with the matching strap against the rose gold. Sort of that, you call it 𝗴𝗿𝗲𝗯𝗍, I call it vignette dial, you know, where I don't even know if it's truly vignette, but the way the markers are set up, it makes it seem that way. So,
you know, the original ones actually have that same embossed motif. It's even more kind of pronounced, but it's not a metropolis or world as it's known. It's actually based off of a grenade. So the original story is that it was for I want to say an Arabic collector, somebody out in the Middle East, and they brought this to Patek and they used it as kind of inspiration for the dial motif, which I didn't even know that myself.
And it's not just any grenade, it's specifically this type of grenade.
There you go.
Yeah, cool. Oddly enough, I threw those grenades when I was in the military. John Mayer?
Yeah, 116508.
Where are these at right now?
I mean, again, another one that's wildly different in terms of year and condition. If you're gonna get a brand new, fresh 2023 like this, then we're probably gonna be talking close to the mid-90s, maybe a touch less even.
So the funny part about this is when they announced the discontinuation, you did see a temporary jump where they jumped up over 100, even to 125 for like probably a good 30 days, and then they came back down. But the good thing is they didn't come down further than what they were before they jumped back up. So shows a little bit of stability in the market. Yeah, I would like to see what's in the Vacheron. Here's the thing is that we've seen Vacheron, I don't want to call it a fall from grace. I want to call it a fall from a price that was just outrageous and unwarranted, right? When we saw a lot of these automatics, and whether it's steel, rose gold, and what is the fate now versus retail for some of the automatics, be it white, blue, black?
I mean, silver you're going to be getting around that 22 to 25, black around that 25 to 28.
And there's a reason I ask you these questions, and the main reason for it is because that's the questions that clients ask me and everybody else all the time. Bottomed out, not bottomed out, and you know my response to that is, say, guys, don't worry about bottom out. Don't worry about market price. Buy what you like first and foremost, because everything is relative. Like, I just had this thing with a Richard Mille, actually, a real live example. Client calls in, he's like, well, I paid $600 for this Richard Mille. What is it today? Well, today, let's say it's $400 or $450. It's like, oh my God, I'm trading it in for this other Richard Mille. I'm like, yeah, but it's the same thing in terms of, because you're giving me a watch that you paid $600 for, let's say hypothetically, and I'm giving you $400 for it, and I'm giving you another watch for $400. But the other watch for $400 was also $600.
But I think one thing people fail to realize is you're not walking into a Vacheron AD and picking up an overseas, right? That's still not happening. They're gonna make you buy, you know, 1, 2 watches potentially, right? And the cheapest watch you can get, let's say, even a steel Vacheron 56 on a leather strap, it's still gonna cost you about, you know, 10, 15,000. So we're talking about a delta now on the secondary market where it's not even worth buying it from an AD anymore because, or a boutique, because, you know, the premium is just not there.
Marco, what is the model name of this Glashutte original.
To give you the basic bones of it.
I want to know the name of the model.
Or it's not a bit, I have no idea. It's a Karee, I guess.
Guys, comment below if you guys know the name of, well, you just said it.
It is.
Karee, yeah. Oh, see, you spoiled the whole damn thing. This is, obviously, this came from my buddy Mohammed from Oman. So this carries the Oman logo, but I don't see it on the watch.
But it's not always on the watch itself,
yeah,
right?
I guess it's just, I guess it's the packaging because it is on the box, it is on the outer box. You know what, let me put that inside this box because this is where it belongs. What do you got?
This is actually a really interesting one. So wood dial with a bark finish on the bracelet. Now bark will
We'll call this one the Tree of Life.
Yeah, the Tree of Life. So wood dial, obviously stone dials have become quite popular, especially in the day-date range, right? But these wood dials have been, not in production for a long time, and they have a certain, I don't know, effect to them that are really cool, mixed with this bark finish. So bark being kind of this rough finish.
So now the finish is on the case, it's on the bezel, it's on the bracelet as well. It's in, I'm gonna call it decent shape for its age.
Yeah.
And I've seen these a lot worse. These tend to just literally flop on you when you do this.
Yeah.
So this is actually a decent shape. Again, anything Rolex, anything rare dial, especially anything that's older, like this 18038 is going to be, that collectible that doesn't break the bank.
I got a IWC
Genta.
Ingeneur. Yeah, I mean, listen, the new Ingeneur was released. I kind of voiced my opinion on it. I didn't love it because it's that whole AMG look, which is pretty prevalent here. The kind of crown guards look, the oversized look to it. I mean, listen, it's a nice watch. It's just,
especially if you put a strap on it.
It's not my taste or style. You know what I mean?
So here's the thing. You have to understand that when IWC started making his Ingeneurs, AMG collabs, blah 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 blah. This is the time when the Audemars Piguet Royal Offshore went through the roof and took off. Anything bigger and better took off, and that's why you see this particular size. By today's standards, I still like. Again, it doesn't have the strap, so it's tough to show. By today's standards, it's still a good size. It's not too big, but I agree with you. What we said earlier when they came out with the new Ingeneur, the remake of it, they should have kept it exactly as the original. They didn't. I'm a little bit upset about that. We'll get another Conja Rolex, and this time it is, it's another Datejust. So with these guys, these only get issued, and again, you've seen these before. There's a Conja in the back of the watch, and again, you verify that it's a true Conja by looking at the card, making sure that it's actually issued to the Sultanate of Oman. That's how you know it's real, and not somebody else engraved it in the back. Yeah, they don't make very many of this. It usually happens once a year. We sort of get into a groove where around, leading into summertime, we'll get like a batch of maybe 15, 20 of them, and then we'll wait till next year. But I talked about emergencies being colorful. Of course, I wasn't talking about real emergencies. I was talking about the Breitling Emergencies. Actually, probably I'm gonna go out on a limb outside of vintage stuff. Probably my favorite Breitling because of its usability, right? And when I say colorful, they made them in these colors. Now, a lot of people, they made them in very loud colors. And a lot of people say, well, why the hell would you put such a loud color on this watch? And in my mind, I'm like, okay, well, you have the emergency SOS beacon in here that you can register, set off, and people, the cavalry will come and get you. But then if you think about it, if you're in the water somewhere, if you're somewhere, this is a pretty bright watch to notice.
Yeah.
So in an emergency, if you're laying in a brush somewhere in the desert or something, the sun hits these colors, it actually makes sense. I also like the stuff that they come with. You have your tester here, right? You have a screwdriver. I don't know what that screwdriver is for, to be honest with you. Audemars Piguet. I love big boxes from Audemars Piguet. And if it's a bigger Audemars Piguet, probably something complicated. And it is.
Wow.
It is the newer Concept GMT, I guess, semi-skeleton. Concepts have always been plagued by the same thing, and that is their size. But the minute you start adding this extremely big construction to each one of the lug systems, that's when you need to have a hefty wrist to wear them. I was always pissed off because the original Alucard Concept is my favorite watch. I like what Audemars Piguet has done here by skeletonizing the GMT Concept. It's just aesthetically added to the watch. Originally, this thing came on a black strap. I kind of like this baby blue strap on it. Concept has been around for quite some time, starting with the Alucard Concept, going to the carbon concept, then going to the regular version GMT Concept. Then you had the white ceramic concept, then you had the two-tone white ceramic with the rose gold concept. Then we got into a bunch of the automatic that they made, which was the full skeleton. Concept has been evolving, and it finally evolved into a wearable one, which was the Marvel watches, right? I would like to see just a regular production Concept toned down to that size of the marble pieces that are going to be more wearable for everybody. I'm going to finish this off with, I like to have something special. I pick something special out of every unboxing. Here's what I like to call a time capsule. Again, it's a Conjar piece, came from Oman. This obviously sat in somebody's closet for a long time and never been opened. You can tell by the simple fact that this is just cracking on the top, but I think that adds to the appeal.
But the condition of it, so
it's brand new.
Yeah, bear in mind that these crackled boxes typically were not in this kind of condition, right? They
Okay, so I'm gonna take this watch out.
It looks like an Omega.
Which Omega?
Actually, it looks like an Omega Constellation.
Designed by?
Gerald Genta.
Thank you very much. So notice the DNA, the design DNA of this watch, very similar to Nautilus, Ariado from GP. Very similar to, somewhat similar to the Royal Oak if you look at the logos, but this is one of the original Genta designs. This is NOS, this is new old stock, this is insane. I'm gonna tell you that I've never had one of these, and let alone did I have one with a Conjure logo, but you know, rare is what we do, and I think this is the most special watch at unboxing because of the Genta pedigree, because this is a Conjure, and because this is a new old stock watch, which is pretty darn insane. That the reason I think the box only cracked and didn't really completely fall apart, because I don't think this has been open for many years.
Clearly not, right? Because for it to crack, it has to be exposed to kind of like moisture, humidity, that kind of stuff. Like this literally sat in probably a temperature-controlled environment. Yeah, I have to politely disagree though. Definitely not the most special watch. I'll give that to the Concept GMT.
I do still feel that the Conjure Omega Constellation original Genta design is the most special watch of this unboxing. Although I am biased, I do like the Concept GMT, so I would agree with you as well. So we'll just agree on both. Okay. Two special watches in the unboxings. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you on the next one.